So many struggles going on, whether it be Deep in Creek, whether it be a terrible youth justice system in Queensland and the murderous way that both Labor and Liberal governments have enacted terrible, life-destroying policies on our First Nations peoples, but also acknowledge that there's so many brilliant Indigenous leaders, including in our own party, fighting back and building a better movement. So tonight's pretty weird after watching that, and I was really reflecting on this in the last 2 weeks, actually, looking at the way that the Labor and Liberal campaign were being run in comparison to ours. And while I think we're all pretty shocked at the overall result across the country, in a way I'm not surprised. Because right now, the level of political debate and what's on offer from the major parties is nothing. And as they move closer together, and as people's lives get tougher, and our hope for the future shrinks, of course people react to elections like this by switching off. Of course, when are we on the brink of ecological collapse, or where homelessness is increasing, or 3 million Australians live in poverty, of course people are switching off. And when I was standing at the booth, I was watching Labor volunteers, and literally all they could say was vote Labor to change the government. Or they could say, don't vote for the Greens because they talked about the CPRS. And we heard the Liberals talk about a tax scare campaign. But then there was also something really different going on in Queensland, and the seeds of a movement here. This was a movement that was talking about something much, much different. And why I think so many of you people here brought so much incredible energy to this campaign. Because we weren't talking about, we weren't running one-line scare campaigns, we weren't making up lies about the other parties. In fact, largely we forgot them. We went to the election and said, let's build 500,000 social homes, beautifully designed social homes, and make sure everyone can get a home. We talked about bringing dental into Medicare. We talked about building 100% publicly owned renewable energy and making sure that as we transitioned away from fossil fuels, we actually improve people's standards of life. We talked about closing Madison Nauru, and we said that we can create a politics that doesn't have to divide people up, but says that everyone can be given the things that we need to live a good life, but we can only get it when we realise that we all have more in common with a refugee on Manus than we do with the CEO down in fucking Victoria or in New South Wales, or wherever the fuck they're working. You know, I get furious thinking about the self-serving bastards in the corporate media and those political parties who think that it's okay just to protect their careers, that they can go on the way they're going right now and think that we are not going to rise up and tell them to piss off and build a much bigger and more powerful movement. If they think that this is us at our biggest, if they think this is us at our most powerful, they've got another thing coming. Because we are only getting started right now here in Queensland. We're articulating a politics where when we go to people's doors, people who can be talking about they think they're voting for the LNP or voting for Labor, when our message actually reaches them, it changes their mind and shifts them. I've had so many conversations over the course of this campaign where I knew that if we could get Larissa's message in front of more people, we could get Victor's message in front of more people, any of our brilliant volunteers in front of more people, and deliver that message will shift them. But it means us building our power up and our capacity to reach more people. My favourite story still so far of this campaign is running into someone who said, Max, you won't like me that much, mate. I think the LNP are too left-wing. And now that we're watching this, you're thinking, oh wow, maybe he's reflective of the electorate. But actually, it had nothing to do with him. The other fact that politics is so deeply uninspiring, because after a 10-minute conversation, after talking about publicly owned utilities, after talking about the fact that he used to be a boilermaker and been betrayed by the Labour movement in the 1980s, after talking about the fact that we could give him a good wage, and actually it had nothing to do with the refugees on Madison Nauru that he was living the way he was, but it was because big corporations were accruing all the wealth and power in their small few hands, destroying our planet and denying him the basic things he needed to live a good life. And when we delivered that message, he said, looked me in the eye and shook my hand and said, I'll be voting Greens this time. We know we're up for a big fight. We know throughout history the fights for a progressive future, as some other movements have called the light on the hill, a sort of future that we know there are a small group of very powerful people that will stop at nothing to stop us. We know that it is going to be tough. We know there are going to be losses along the way. We know there are going to be tough moments, moments of elation, moments of sorrow. But the path towards a progressive future, I think, is real. I think it's possible. I think it comes down to all of you here, so many brilliant people I've met on this campaign. The level of commitment across the state, not just in Griffith, which, by the way, I love you people. I can't profess how much love and affection I have for everyone on the Griffith campaign and across Queensland. And it's looking like we might, in Griffith, be getting one of the biggest swings of any lower house Senate Screen campaign in the entire country. By the way, just some of the booths, we've got a 17% swing in Green Slopes. $13 or $14 swings in other booths, 10% swings. The fear in Labor's eyes on that last week, I wanted to bottle it. But unfortunately you can't. Look, the last thing I'd say, I'm going to thank as many people as I can individually, as I was blessed and privileged to have the campaign team that we had. I think you could put that campaign team, give them actual resources as opposed to the piddling budget we had, and they'd win any seat in the country. I'm pretty confident of that. But the other really exciting thing, and hopefully I maybe can steal the privilege of Burko and introduce hopefully someone who will be sending back down to Canberra again, is those sparks of hope need a bulwark against a regressive future. And over the last few months, we've been watching Larissa Waters go around Queensland and articulate a particularly unique Queensland Greens form of politics. All of those things I just mentioned, 500,000 homes, free childcare, university in TAFE, big taxes on big corporations to raise Newstar to make sure that there's no more homelessness in this country, and make sure that our First Nations people across Queensland are given the resources they deserve and that they have a right to, making sure that everyone can go and see a dentist but also a bulk billing doctor, and when they're sick in the hospital they don't have to worry about whether or not they have private health insurance or not. And that when we talk about transitioning to a renewable future, it's one that puts workers and people first and says that we're going to go after the big corporations and make them pay for our transition. That was the message that we have one person from Queensland articulating. One person from, and literally the only elected representative, whether it's in the lower house or in the state, there is one person who's been articulating that right now across Queensland. And it is my great, great pleasure to bring on stage hopefully, after this long count, Senator Larissa Waters.